pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to open to the public hearing relative to Ordinance 2018-39, an ordinance granting a yard setback variance to John and Billy Rowat for the property located at 30 Orchard Circle. It's Orange Village, Ohio. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak on this? If not, we will close the public hearing. Anna, if you'd please call roll.
Klein.
Here.
Bilski.
Here.
Luder. Yes. Perry. Here. Barron.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Duber.
I am here. Can I have a motion to confirm the appointment of Nick Salmon for part-time firefighter paramedic? Thank you. Is there
Second.
Thank you. Chief Wilson, if you'd.
Good evening. Tonight we're looking for the appointment of Nick Salmon. Nick is right here. Nick is young, and we're going to show him the ways of the fire service and of Orange Village. He's currently a paramedic. He's a 240 firefighter, and he has done some time at Fairport Harbor. Other than that,
And all that before he's 7.
all that before he turned 17. No. Nick, would you like to introduce who you brought with you?
I'm with my family tonight, my little brother Chad, my father Pete, my mother Wendy.
All right, thank you. And if you'd please call roll.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Luder.
Yes.
Perry. Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Duber.
Yes, if you'd like to come up here and the mayor will swear you in.
Come, make yourself in any position you'd like to take pictures from. May stand wherever.
Come around over here.
Right here, so you. How many years apart are you? Wow. You get to see what you're gonna be.
You can come back here if you want.
Yeah. You can get a front and a back.
Right hand. I state your name.
I, Nick Salmon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that
of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully
honestly, and impartially discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as part-time firefighter paramedic
as part-time firefighter paramedic
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations, welcome aboard. Say hello to everybody and come back.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Sign here, and we'll get you a frameable copy. Okay, see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
A motion to confirm the appointment of Cody Widlack for part-time firefighter paramedic.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second? Chief, if you would, please.
I am asking for the appointment of Cody Whitlack, sitting over there in the front row. Cody is currently a member of the Warrensville Warrensville Heights Fire Department. He's been there a little over a year. He also works at the North Randall Fire Department, where he's been since March of 2017. He's a firefighter 240 and a paramedic.
Thank you.
He likes long walks on the beach. By himself.
Wayne, but not Mary Lou, my fiance, Andrea.
Anna, if you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Luder.
Yes.
Perry. Yes. Barron.
Yes.
Braverman. Duber.
Yes, if you'd like to come up here, and again, if anybody wants to take pictures, feel free.
Told me to change it every week.
Okay.
If you miss, you go to the end.
I state your name.
And then
Do solemnly swear
Brandon is
that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village, and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge my duties as part-time firefighter paramedic of Orange Village, State of Ohio. During my continuance in said office.
Congratulations.
Just in case council is wondering, because we're doing a number of these. The fire department
Congratulations.
has 50 firefighters plus 8 officers. Gentlemen was sworn tonight, number 45 and 46, out of the 50 total. You see more sworn in, but you don't see the ones that are leaving. So,
We don't swear them out.
some, no.
How staffed are we typically?
Chief?
That's about 45, 46.
No. How many people are staff? You're asking?
No, I'm asked, like, how many typically are employed by Orange in
Right
a,
around there. We've been up to 47, 48.
it's been consistent for years like that?
It was lower because until we opened that second station, then we added 5 guys. So it's been typically around 42.
Thank you. You guys don't have to stay if you don't want.
Welcome to.
Wait. Thank you for your service.
I see you next.
And don't go anywhere.
You were getting permission to leave the ship?
Moving on, can I have a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of December 5th, 2018? Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Barron. Thank you, Mr. Klein. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? If not, Anna, if you would call roll.
Klein.
Yes.
Ski.
Yes.
Luder.
yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes. And I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report of fiscal year 2018 through October. Make a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. You're reading my mind.
Good evening.
Hello.
You have the treasurer's report for October 31st. It says the 30th. That was a typo. We have a total of $10,451,000 in our bank accounts, most of which is in our investment accounts. And the next document you have is the summary of the monthly and year-to-date activity through October. We had $604,000 of revenue and about $555,000 in expenditures. That was just for normal operational costs. Nothing really stand out or enormous there. And then I also provided you with a revenue and expenditure report for the general fund. We're at 83% of the year, and pretty much everything is in line. Some of the accounts are higher because we're pretty much showing the expenditures. We're pretty much tying out the year, or there may be no more expenditures in those line items. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? All right, well, that was easy. If you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Yes.
And can I have a motion to approve the tax administrator's report of November 30th, 2018? Second, anyone?
Second? Nope.
Ms. Perry?
Hey.
If you'd like to go over this, please.
Tax Administrator Report for the month of November and year-to-date through November. We collected about 308,000 gross tax collections for November. Compared to where we were last November, we are down, but that's primarily a timing difference of when the revenue has come in. The important thing to note is year-to-date, we're at $4,086,000, whereas the same period of time last year, we were at under 3.5. So we're about $620,000 up for the year in our income tax collections. We're down on the budget in that little box at the bottom from the estimate of 4.6 from the annual budget. We're down from there, but we're still up $620,000 in actual dollars. And I think the budget is probably a little off due to the fact that Pinecrest opened a little bit later than we were probably budgeting or anticipating at that point in time. So looking pretty good for the year. I then gave you the gross tax revenue by month is the multicolored sheet. And then you can see on the blue sheet, the big sheet showing year-to-date through November, you can actually see from 16, 17, and 18, the trend moving upward, positive trends. And to let you know on the Pinecrest updates for October, for contractors in the, we had collected 23,000 and tenants, I'm sorry, he says October, it is actually November. For November, we have 23,700 of the monies collected were contractors and about 42,000 was tenants. So you can see the shift of us moving from solely collecting tax from contractors to now starting to get more revenue from the tenants occupying the space.
You're estimating the 143,000 over or down, compared to those collections will be made up this month?
Well, the budget is probably slightly overstated over what we were collecting. We're $600,000 higher than where we were at the same point in time last year. So we've generated over $600,000 more revenue this year. The budget was stated at 4.6, and that budget was determining Pinecrest opening sooner or having more businesses opened than when they actually have thus far. So that's why we're a little lower than where we are on a budget. But that's just from a budgetary basis.
But isn't one of the biggest generators of this, though, the office tenants?
So they're just moving in. Right.
Well, but aren't there already a decent amount that are in
They
there?
wouldn't have filed anything yet.
I'm asking. I'm just asking. Okay, all right, I'm just,
For November, we've collected 42,000 in tenants there. So
Under the tenants? The office?
tenants, I don't have it broken out from, it's just this is total tenants. I don't have it broken out between the tenants.
I have a question. I'm not sure it really relates to Dana's report, but there is a trigger date that comes about when they have 75% occupancy. Do we know where, when we're at? Are we at that
And
yet?
when we were together the other day with Paul, he said, remind me to tell you about that significant occupancy date, and we forgot. So he knows something. They were, the last time we checked with them, they were close, but they weren't there yet. So I think they should be there. I don't know if they are.
Because
I follow up with
that
Paul.
triggers a lot of successive things happening.
Right, I have to follow up with Paul. He had something to say about it the other day and forgot.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an important date.
okay. I just have my same concerns always with just making sure that, all the office tenants are properly reporting. And, I mean, what's the lag time typically from when, income is earned and all that until we should see basically, filings and payments for that? So, like, if somebody moved into the office space in, say the middle of, say, June 1st, when is it likely that we'll start seeing money from that?
Well, depending on when they would pay actually pay those taxes, then that would be carried into the month. So June 1st, if someone's paying that, we would probably see that in the July statement. If they pay it later in the month of June, it may carry over into our August statements.
Okay.
I am also been working with Rita on developing some more policies of checking our office buildings and who the tenants are in the various buildings to make sure that they're in compliance and that they are filed for Orange.
Yeah.
And,
That in-house, we would be covered.
and we We're looking at somebody helping in-house, but also working with them on trying to get more boots on the ground to make sure that people are being reporting as they should.
Large lodging tax, emissions tax.
It hasn't come in yet, but I did work with Silver Spot, and we are getting that paid up and getting them up to date and current, and that's going to be about $25,000, and we're hoping to get that by the end of the year.
Okay.
Looking at the gross tax revenue chart, it looks like we get a good number in January, good number of elections in January. And I think that's something that's been repeated over the years.
Sometimes the timing does change from organizations that we're collecting from.
Well, it depends, like Dana said, what time of the month they pay, whether it gets into our distribution check in January or February.
They file, because you also notice like May and June is when people are filing their tax returns and getting their tax returns, and you're getting individuals. So there are different points in time where you're going to get higher.
Looks like the big jumps are in
Yeah, you
May.
can see the jumps in time, so. And people that do bonuses at the year end in businesses, you're going to see that in the January
Yep.
revenue.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. If you'd call roll, please, Anna?
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Yes.
Braverman. Duber.
Yes. Moving on to discussion of bills to be paid for the month of December 2018 of $249,746, and additional November expenses in the amount of $79,258.03. Does anybody have any comments on the bills, questions?
What was the lightning strike repair?
I think, hang on one second, Jed, I think Herb was...
It's working great. In addition to the services of answering the 911 calls, we are able to get our IT backup and support, and through the dispatches buying purchasing power, we're buying the workstations and the things that are in our IT budget, I think partly because Nick is able to make sure we get the best deals. So they handle our IT now, so a lot of the equipment we're buying, you're going to see the checks to Chagrin Valley Dispatch for.
I just saw the lightning strike repairs, and I got nervous.
Oh, we had two, I was going to say this in our accomplishments. We had 2 lightning strikes this year, and one at least with significant damage. A lot of those things, and they say, well, none of his, lightning strike repairs. So when during the bills to be paid, as you see other things that were related to it, it will say that that's lightning damage, but we have insurance that's reimbursing. Gonna stay big.
Jed, did you have comments?
That was my question.
None. Any other comments on the bills? All right, if not, moving on to audience comments relating to agenda items only. Is there anybody who'd like to speak? Yes. If you'd come on up to the microphone, name.
My name is Michael Mooney, 951 Bell Road. Tonight, I'd just like to speak in regards to ordinance number 2018-45. It's the ordinance agreeing to adjust the municipal boundary line for our business located at 27,000 Chagrin Boulevard, Mooney and Sons. I'm proud to say that I represent the third generation, the future of our family business. And my goal here tonight is to ultimately stop this legislation as it stands. Specifically, I ask for support from all of you. And I ask someone who's got the guts to come forward and make a motion to table this indefinitely, just as Beechwood did a week and a half ago. I ask on the simple grounds that both the Moonies and Orange Council, you just lack the significant details of the full impact of this legislation. And with all due respect, the more I dig into this issue, the more I believe there's an alternative motive to ultimately shut us down.
Right.
I had the pleasure of speaking with Council President Duber yesterday on the phone, and I shared some things with him that he was completely unaware of. And this troubles me because if he doesn't know, the rest of the council must not know. Specifically, I shared with him that I am still waiting on documents.
I don't have a problem with, you going through all this. I'd prefer that you don't try to summarize a telephone conversation that we necessarily had. You could talk about a conversation we had, but I just don't want anything to be mischaracterized here.
I'm trying to inform council.
No, I'm giving you the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
I just want you to be careful of, basically saying exactly what I said on the phone when, I just am wary of anything being mischaracterized,
Oh, I'm just, yeah, I'm not.
Feel free to voice all your concerns, and we did have a good conversation, and, I, took it to heart what you said, and I am taking this seriously, but, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, okay, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's, I just wanted to share specifically that what we had talked about is I'm obviously still waiting on documents from Orange Building and Orange Law Departments, respectively. I also shared with him that, and this is very troubling, by the way, I also shared with him that a little over 2.5 years ago, at an informal meeting, a member of the Orange administration, a member who is actually sitting up here in front of all of us tonight, clearly stated that a solution to this so-called problem would be for us to move our business out of the village. Just move, they stated.
Yeah, that wasn't
All while in the presence of another Orange Village administrator. So yes, this is why my family is fighting so hard not to let this boundary adjustment happen. Our future is literally in the balance. This person who said such things should be really ashamed of themselves and should not be allowed to represent the village with any title. But this person, and they know who they are, should have been reprimanded on the spot, and they weren't. And if that person had any dignity at all, they would lay down their resignation here tonight for the words they spoke 2.5 years ago, because as we all know, words matter. I also informed Council President Duber that as it stated on the formal letter we received on November 10th regarding the adjustment, it stated the reason was the municipal boundary had all of a sudden created difficulties in the municipal zoning and building codes. This letter went on to cite a specific example regarding 3690 Orange Place and how the office building is located in Beechwood, but the proposed sign had to be approved by Orange. So I will tell you, if this adjustment passes, does the council know that the Moonies have a second parcel in Beechwood? They have 2 parcels in Beechwood, and that the one parcel, if this boundary adjustment is passed, the one parcel will remain in Beechwood with our high-rise sign that makes it known that we're a gas station from the freeway? That will remain in Beechwood. So this boundary adjustment doesn't really change anything. You're still at the same spot. And as I said before, the more I dig into this and the more I uncover, the more rotten this legislation becomes. So I ask you to, let's just stop this legislation tonight and let's just all get on the same page. And that's what I talked about with Brandon, and I hope to, in the future, just get together as a council so we can all get on the same page and all get informed on this, because this legislation stinks. It really does. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinance 2018-39, an ordinance granting a... Oh, sorry. Yes. And please come up, state your name.
Can I take this off? Okay.
For the record, my name is Patrick Mooney, and with my older brother Michael, I also represent the third generation of Mooney & Sons located at 27,000 Sugarland Boulevard in Beechwood, Ohio. I would like to ask the council to respectfully pause this legislation, ordinance number 2018-45, regarding the boundary adjustment between the city of Beechwood and Orange Village. Based on what my brother has shared, I speak on behalf of the entire Mooney clan in expressing how perturbed and surprised we are in this matter. Ms. Mayor, can you please focus in?
Sir, with all due respect, we're allowing you to speak here, okay, but let's keep this cordial. Otherwise, I'm gonna stop that, okay? I'm allowing a lot of reign here, okay, for you guys to say what you want, but if it's not gonna stay cordial, and there's gonna be finger pointing, stuff like that, I'm not gonna let this continue.
I just want to be sure that our voices are heard.
But there's a better way to do that. You're speaking in a microphone, it's on a camera, we're listening, so you can continue.
Our family is deeply concerned with the incredibly divisive nature of Orange Village's highly subjective building code that has not accommodated our family for years. For example, it took my father and corporate Sunoco representative over 10 years to get a canopy approved. What's interesting in this situation is the same day we submitted our plans to Orange Village for the canopy, we submitted plans for a Sunoco high-rise sign overlooking the freeway in the city of Beechwood. Needless to say, Beechwood graciously approved our plans in a few days' time. What a difference. It may not seem like a lot to you, but in our small world, this means everything, because then we can continue to serve our community and concentrate on serving our customers. Extreme hardship is what we are trying to avoid. And that is why we ask for a pause and for a reconsideration, so we can figure this out and work together, because we really are better together. Furthermore, in regards to the committee meeting that took place on November 14th, my brother graciously appeared before the Orange City Council and expressed that no one had informed us about the boundary adjustment. Mayor Mulcahy promised my brother that she would, quote, meet with him privately to discuss this matter on November 14th at that meeting. Citizens of Orange, Mayor Mulcahy never once made arrangements to meet with my brother until Mayor of Beechwood invited her to a meeting with our family weeks later. This behavior is divisive, and it has to this day left us uninformed. Did anyone notice that out of the 3 parcels that our lot is on, 2 are in Beechwood and 1 is in Orange? We actually have more land in Beechwood than we do in Orange Village. So I asked the City Council, and I also asked Mayor Mulcahy, why don't you render the parcel of land over to Beechwood if you don't want to deal with, and I quote, the Moody's? This boundary line has been in place for 50 plus years or more. My brother has submitted professional drawings to the Orange Village Building Department, and needless to say, they were denied. And that's to no one's surprise either. Mayor Mulcahy, why won't you work with us personally without contacting the mayor of Beechwood, without contacting your own building department? Why have you never made an effort to come and speak to us personally? Why have you never tried to reach out to create a solution? Do you neglect the efforts that you have made, do you neglect the efforts that we've made in the past and the efforts that we are making currently? We believe that a partnership is in fact possible. However, you figuratively have tossed us under as a small business that matters not to you. Mayor Mulcahy, what would Senator Sherrod Brown say about the way that you treat small businesses in Orange Village?
Sir, we're getting a little past the civility point here. You're making a point. I get your point. I think we all get your point. If you have I understand your position, and, you're obviously given the opportunity to say it, but, let's tone it down.
Well, I'm just saying that Sherrod Brown has stated small businesses and manufacturers are the backbone of Ohio's very economy. At this time, I would like to respectfully ask the City Council of Orange Village to become of the leadership in this situation. As an educator, I now know that bullying has no limits to adolescents and young adults. Do we neglect Ohio small businesses that have been established long before Mayor Mulcahy took her position? Or do we feed into the pine crusts of America? This council, this very council of Orange Village, has that choice. So on behalf of the Mooney family, we want to wish you all happy holidays. Please support small business. Come in. You're more than welcome anytime. We treat everybody like family. We are a small business, as I keep on repeating, but I want to stress to you that we have served Orange Village for over 50 years, okay? Our shop is truly democratic in that it serves all socioeconomic positions and statutes and status.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments. Appreciate it. Any other comments relating to agenda items? Moving on to ordinance 2018-39, an ordinance granting a yard setback variance to John and Billy Roat for their property located at 30 Orchard Circle. So this is on for third reading. I'll make a motion to pass this. Is there a second? I'm sorry. Hold on. Before we do that, we would have to adopt the conclusions of fact. A motion to adopt the conclusions of fact.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. If you call a roll on that, Anna, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Cluter,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Braverman, Duber.
Yes.
I did.
No, it's fine. And now I will make a motion to pass ordinance 2018-39. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Barron.
Second.
All right, Mr. Barron was the second. I think I made the motion.
Oh, you, oh, right.
That's okay. Whatever.
Third.
For the second.
If you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Cluter,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 2018-45, an ordinance agreeing to adjust the boundaries between Orange Village and the city of Beechwood pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 709.37 and zoning the new territory. This is on for second reading. This is going to planning and zoning next week, and it'll come back to council after that. When's the public hearing? The 9th. Okay, the public hearing is set for January 9th. So obviously there would not be a third reading until
Next year.
that time, until at least the second meeting of next year. So, moving on to, and just, Mooney's, while you're here, I just want to address this, that, you know, I'm not, and I think the rest of council up here is not in the habit of just passing legislation uninformed. There is a procedure to move legislation forward, which is to have 3 readings. This actually will go even further because there's another meeting in between, but you know, I can promise you that I myself, and I think the rest of council would say the same thing, that, you know, we're not going to make an uninformed vote on this, and if all the facts are there in order for us to vote on it on the 9th, you know, we can do that, and if not, then, you know, we'll address that at the time, okay? So I just don't want you to think that you're getting blown off, all right? Moving on to ordinance 2018-46, an ordinance approving and confirming the appointment of Stephen Hovansik and Associates, Inc. as Orange Village engineer and repealing certain ordinances. This is on for second reading. Any other comments on that?
Is there any,
If it doesn't pass to January, council doesn't suspend it, does it have to be increased to retroactive to January 1st?
Well, before January 20th, so the bill and then come in February.
And the billing, I mean, it's, our first meeting's on the 2nd. All right, moving on to, and everybody, I think, did receive the red line version, the difference in the pricing from last year. this year? Okay. I'll actually make a motion to suspend the rules to pass this tonight. Is there a second? Thank you. If you want to call roll, Anna, please.
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes. Peter? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Duber?
This doesn't have to go to planning and zoning. And I'll make a motion to pass this ordinance, 2018-46.
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? If you call roll, please.
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Luder?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Braverman? Duber?
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 2018-47, ordinance amending existing Chapter 721, peddlers of the Codified Ordinances of Orange Village by enacting a new Chapter 721, peddlers and canvassers, and repealing certain ordinances. This is on for second reading. Yes.
So there was a question at one point regarding a red line version against the existing code. This chapter is a complete rewrite of the code, so that, which was drafted a few years ago and then not adopted. And so there isn't it's not easily comparable to the existing. It would just be all red. I mean, the old ordinance would be scratched out and this ordinance would be in its place. So you can't really get it.
It was basically a new ordinance. That's
Any other,
I just had a quick question for the law director. 0.06 restrictions. Are you comfortable with our 7 PM?
The matter better discussed in an executive session?
any other comments? On to new business. Consideration of ordinance 2018-49, an ordinance accepting certain public improvements for the Orange Place south of Harvard, and related improvements.
And we'll be getting a report from the engineer.
This is on for first reading, and it's being referred to planning and zoning.
And we'll getting a report from the engineer.
All right.
go to P and Z? Is this on the agenda for next week? No, but is it a planning and zoning?
It's not based on the agenda.
There's no urgency.
Okay.
We won't get third reading in January.
It's 2018.
Just means they have to plow the street.
Moving to ordinance 2018-50 and ordinance amending section 114. Ordinances, yes. Sure.
Exhibit A, and I just left it at home.
No, we still need to get that. The engineer is preparing it.
It would be nice to see. Looking at it.
It's,
Okay, thank you.
you will get it in plenty of time before you're asked. I mean, this was to get it going.
Title for this ordinance?
No.
That's going to be the full title?
Sorry, Mr. Brandon.
No, it's okay.
Orange Place, south of Harvard.
Why, that's not in the thing? Well,
It's
too short?
Orange Place is the name of the road. The south of Harvard is the description of where it's located.
Should we beat Orange Place? Or just for Orange Place?
You're right, that's the typo.
Anything else? Okay. No, don't apologize. Moving on to ordinance 2018-50. An ordinance amending section 1142.06 of the Codified Ordinances of Orange Village to provide a procedure for council to exercise administrative authority under the Orange Village zoning code. This is on for first reading. P&Z, moving on to ordinance 2018-51, an ordinance appointing the law director and authorizing the mayor To enter into an agreement with Singerman Mills, Desberg and Counts, co-LPA, and Stephen L. Byron to provide legal services from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. I would make a motion to suspend the rules to pass this ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. If you call roll on suspension, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Fluter.
Yes.
Harry. Barron.
Yes.
Braverman. Duber.
And can I have a motion to pass this ordinance? I'll make it, or motion to pass this ordinance. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Barron. Any other comments? Okay. If you would call roll, please.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Duber.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was a soft yes.
And moving on to ordinance 2018-52, an ordinance appointing Blair N. Milling as the prosecutor of Orange Village and providing compensation for the prosecutor and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. I will make a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
If you'd call roll on suspension, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Fluter.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
It's ordinance 2018-52. Mr. Bilski, any other comments? If you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 2018-53, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $805,000 of bonds for the purpose of currently refunding the village's A, Orange Place Improvement, Parts 1 and 2, General Obligation Bonds, Series 2006, dated August 8th, 2006, and B, Emery Road Improvement, Special Assessment Bonds, Series 2007, dated August 1st, 2007, approving related matters in connection with the issuance of the bonds and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading.
I think,
Like
Yeah.
that to...
well, I want to suspend the rules too.
Well,
Matt.
okay. Matt, do you want to come up and?
So good evening. Nice to be back as always. For council's consideration, as Council President Duber referenced, ordinance 2018-53, that is again designed to refinance the series, the village's outstanding 2006 and 2007 bonds. Director Cavender, I believe at the beginning of the meeting, passed out a handout, which, if you don't mind, I'll refer to as this topic came up as a subject of discussion exactly 1 month ago in Finance Committee. And the letter at the top of this was a letter that we discussed generally, but I did not hand that out that night, but it generally discusses the terms and conditions and the impact of the potential refunding, and that was a month or so ago. Upon leaving the Finance Committee presentation, I was asked to refresh those numbers, try to fine-tune the cost, and try to get a better understanding as to where interest rates are, at least based upon some proposals that were going to be submitted over the course of the next 30 days, which I've done as part of this packet. So I just wanted to share with you this letter on the top, the two-page letter, gives you a quick recap of our discussion from Finance Committee. It talks about the benefits of the refinancing. It talks about some of the benchmarking that we would look to, and the interest rate that we were chatting about in terms of potential refinancing was 3.5%. Keep in mind, we're refinancing bonds that are closer to 5 and in excess of 5%. But as council mentioned at Finance Committee meeting, it was not a lot of savings, but let's fine tune this and see where we might look like over the course of the next month. So one of the key benchmarks that we did reference in the letter was the Government Finance Officers Association of America and Canada has a benchmark that suggests if the refinancing is a good candidate if you can save in interest expense between 3 to 5% of the outstanding, the existing outstanding expense. And at that point, if you see on the cover page, we were generating about 3.28% estimated using a refinancing rate of 3.5%. Behind the two-page letter, I just wanted to share with you some recent data. Village of Chagrin Falls was out recently issuing new bonds for a 15-year financing. I'm showing some of the proposals that were received and interest rates associated with those proposals. You'll see them ranging in a range from 2.99% to as high as 3.56%, and there's some various financial institutions that the village has solicited. Below that, you'll see proposals that were submitted to the Village of Moreland Hills. Again, a range of interest rates from 2.99% to as high as 3.80%. Again, this was closer to a 15-year financing. Our average life is just a shade over 4 years, so we should outperform this in terms of the duration being lower than both of these proposed financings. I did on the following page have a quick sensitivity analysis that I put together. It's a little spreadsheet, scenario A, B, and C. Scenario A correlates with the letter that was the refinancing projected at 3.5%, and then I projected for you what that refinancing would look like at 3.25%, and what the refinancing would look like if we were to achieve a 3%. And you can see the savings do increase materially, from a cash flow savings of $34,000 to $54,000 to potentially $63,000, even if we were to achieve something close to what Chagrin and Moreland Hills achieved in terms of their refinancing. And again, we have a shorter amortization, so we should achieve something closer to the best proposals that were submitted to the Village of Chagrin and Moreland Hills. I did provide just a sample of what the term sheet would look like. This is what would be sent out to financial institutions if the council decides to proceed, and I attached a tentative timeline to the back, the very last page of the presentation materials. The thought being, the council would consider legislation this evening, even if you choose to pass it this evening, and we were to proceed with this solicitation, there's no obligation for the village to accept the proposal. It's merely, it authorizes you to issue it, and if something doesn't come in acceptable to the village, then you just, you don't accept the proposal, and the legislation can die its normal life. So, what I'm proposing, I'm sorry, please, Councilman.
You were talking about, on your sensitivity analysis, really, it's the total present value after the cost of issuance, that's
100
go into making the change.
That is correct. The savings that are shown here in that sensitivity analysis are after cost of issuance, which are estimated at $25,000. And that you'll see is a difference. One of the differences between scenario A and scenario B and C is I was able to get a better fine-tuning of the cost of issuance. It's not locked in exactly. That's why you'll see the legislation read $805,000, and my term sheet reads $797,000. I think it's close to the $797,000, but to the extent that a financial institution that submits a very attractive proposal to us says they have legal counsel, a bill for legal counsel, and it may range for a couple $1,000s, we'd have to consider that. So that would be...
On the other exhibits indicate, is that their legal fee?
That would be the purchaser's legal fee, that's right, not ours, but we end up paying that fee on their behalf. So I don't know that. I can tell you, generally speaking, it's in a range of $1,500 to $2,000, but I can't say that with certainty because I don't submit the proposals, we just respond to them. But generally speaking, that's part of what we have to consider. Not everyone charges that fee, but I wanted to leave a little bit of cushion there in case something comes as a surprise to us by way of cost of issuance, that we have an obligation. Another example would be an OMAC report. Some financial institutions ask us to apply for what's referred to as Ohio Municipal Advisory Council report. It's just a summary of data, but it costs us a fee. Sometimes we can get away without it. Sometimes I can gather the information out of the public domain and satisfy them, but there are some institutions that demand that report, and that's about $1,000.
Is that report after the proposals are submitted, or is that before?
It's before. It's before. If the financing doesn't occur, then we don't have to pay that. But if the financing does occur, we might likely have to pay that. We would likely have to pay it.
On the sensitivity analysis comparison for the par amount for Series 2019, what are the three amounts, three scenarios?
So the amount, if you're referring to the 765, that's in fact the amount of bonds that we're refunding, the Series 2006 and Series 2007 total. The 802,000 was the presentation I made a month or so ago. I was able to fine tune that. And in fact, the 802,000 I was able to reduce to 797, which was just fine tuning of cost of issuance. My original letter a month ago anticipated $30,000 in cost of issuance. I reduced it by $5,000 to $25,000. That accounts for the difference between scenario A and B and C. And the
Scenario C, the 25 basis points doesn't have anything to do with that 797 fee?
Correct. They're exactly the same except for the interest rate. Okay? And if you're thinking about or referring to the maturities refunded, those are the years that the bonds are outstanding in 2006 and 2007. So again, when we refinance, we're not extending the maturity, we're not modifying the structure to any great degree. We are retiring both series of bonds in the exact same time period that they were originally intended and originally mature. 2024 as relates to the 2006 bonds and 2027 as it relates to the 2007 bonds.
For your timeline here?
Yes. Please.
This time of year with the holidays and everything, is it realistic to get something by our next meeting on January 2nd?
So I had asked a couple of financial institutions what they would prefer. And to your point, the holidays are tough. So the 27th is a bit problematic. And we are, by way of this financing, under $1 million. There are some financial institutions that will have to work to get them to respond. Some of the larger institutions that you'd see in the comps will not respond to something that's under $1 million. So I'm tending to lean more towards January, the first week of January, as opposed to the week of December. Well, I have your December 27th to January 3rd. I think I'm going to steer clear of that if council so desires. I would steer clear of the last week of the year and move it into the first week of January. There is some benefit to that as well. In Ohio, most principal is redeemed on January 1st. So there are a lot of financial institutions that are being paid off for bonds that they own in their portfolio and are looking to reinvest. So that happens on December 1st and January 1st. We may capture some additional benefit if we push just beyond January. So we'd ask council to consider passage on first reading tonight. That would allow me to start the process. But if council chose to go 3 readings, I think I can fine-tune the schedule to perhaps, if council is intending to have a second reading on January 2nd and a third reading on January 9th, I could likely have the proposals due on January 9th, if council, and I could present to you the outcome of those proposals, and if council so desires, you could pass the legislation then, and we'd have a term sheet signed the following day. I don't know that we lose all that much in terms of the market skittishness, if you will. I mean, I can't predict what interest rates are going to be any different between December 27th, January 2nd or 3rd, and January 8th or 9th. They might serve to benefit us. But we could apply either methodology in terms of the timeline. I don't think we lose a lot. And the key date is when we receive the proposal, council authorizes, and then we sign the term sheet. And some of these institutions, Chase in particular, has a very short window to sign the term sheet. Meaning the day after they send us a proposal, they want an answer. So many of these will give you 30 days. But Chase in particular, if you'd note in these comps, is the most aggressive. They're the ones who are most sensitive to having it turned around quickly. Sorry to be so long-winded about this, but it is there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Is it all refinancing?
All refinancing, no new money.
There was some discussion of callable bonds.
We are refinancing all callable bonds. Yes, they were callable December 1st of 2017. So we are in the window that we can call these without any premium or any challenges. We just there is a 30-day notice that you have to provide the existing holders.
Callable provisions in the new bonds?
Well, certainly we can request that. I don't know that we'd want to put that, if we got, and we might add something in the way of a term sheet. We don't have a lot of bonds remaining outstanding, and it's very short. I was suggesting non-call because we're so short and we'll garner a better interest rate, non-call, but I certainly could put in an optional redemption feature and let them choose, to propose.
Do anything.
I'm sorry? It'll cost you an interest rate to have the optional redemption feature, no question about it. No question about it. Again, it's short, and there's not a lot of bonds. It's hard for me to imagine we'd have, if we were to achieve a 3% refinancing, that we're going to get something that's going to, this is marginal as it is. We're now achieving potentially between 5 and 6%. To think that we're going to have less bonds, trying to refinance 3% at some point in the future seems unreasonable.
Talk me out of it.
Okay. Well, not intended to. I'm just trying to give you the manage your expectations.
You said to me earlier that you would have the most flexibility if it was passed tonight.
Start the process, most certainly earlier. I like starting the process knowing the legislation has been approved. Again, you have no obligation, and in fact, you could pass the legislation and we would have the same timeline, but again, it is comforting to these financial institutions to know the legislation has been approved. So, Mayor, you're right. I think it gives us more credibility.
And it sounded like you talked them out of it.
I'm not intending to talk you out of it. I always want to make sure council is comfortable with their process whenever they choose to pass something on first reading as an emergency. I understand that. It would be a benefit to us to pass it and submit the proposal to the financial markets having been passed. I just don't want you to feel pressured into doing that because we can certainly work around it.
What you said earlier sounded like it might be better if we do it in January than if we do it in December.
Getting started in this holiday period is a good thing. The sooner I can get started, the better off I have of catching people in the office over the course of the next 2 and 3 weeks. Because they don't do this overnight. They take their time, they have to go to the credit review processes. The later I have to wait to circulate this and wait for potential approval, the more it pushes the schedule back. So I understand what you're saying. I could do that. It's just more risk. Generally speaking.
I was going to say, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Thanks. If you'd call roll on suspension, please.
Didn't get my comment.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Cluter.
Yes.
Harry. Yes. Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Duber.
I'll make a motion to pass this ordinance.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Perry. Is there any other comments, questions, discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
One of my, I guess this is for Steve as much as it is for me. When we pass an ordinance like this, we start turning down what you come back to us. Does this continue to stay on the books as an open ordinance for an extended period of time? Unless you're a repeal ordinance. So basically, this would be continuing instruction to look for opportunities that we would accept.
That's exactly right. If we didn't get an acceptable proposal, we could go out 2 weeks afterwards or 3 weeks afterwards. We could watch the timing of that based upon the market. No doubt.
There'd be no reason.
Yeah, it seems to me that it gives you and us more leverage to go out with the legislation in place, that it's a deal that can be enacted more quickly, and I'm sure financial institutions are sensitive to that.
There's no question that that's a more comfortable scenario for the financial institutions to invest time and energy into putting together these proposals. They like to do so with comfort that it has already been approved by the village council. This is a lot of work for a relatively small issue for a big financial institution like J.P. Morgan Chase. So having it passed would provide us better negotiating power.
Other questions, comments? If you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Cluter.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Good pitch.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good pitch.
Discussion. Moving on to ordinance 2018-54, an ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance of Orange Village to change certain appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018, repealing certain ordinances and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. I will make a motion. I was just going, I will make a motion to suspend the rules. No, you're good.
Second.
Thank you. Is there a second? Or you just, I mean, if you'd call roll, please.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Cluter.
Yes.
Yes.
Braverman. Duber.
Yes, I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2018-50-54. Second.
And, sorry. To Mr. Barron.
Mr. Barron, you have a big smile. I'll give it to you.
I keep stealing.
Anna, do you want to?
Sure.
Please, I would love to have you explain.
Okay, good evening. So for the final appropriation for 2018, there were just a few changes to get us in balance and finalize the numbers for the rest of the year. I bolded them on the exhibit that you have. So the first one is community service. Personal service was increased about $23,800, and that was due to an increase in engineering contract for the year, and that's offset by revenue that we received for the engineering services that were performed for the year. I'm sorry, engineering inspections.
Building inspector.
Inspector, sorry. Other was decreased just over $20,000 to actual expenditures anticipated by the end of the year. Solid waste collection and disposal, rubbish services, that increased $500 to adjust it to actual rubbish collection figures. And on page 2, general government services, building and land, that was reduced $92,000 to adjust it down to actual. The mayor's office, under personal service, that was increased $2,500, and that's a result of workers' comp estimates and medical expense adjustments that were needed for the end of the year.
It says 2,000 here.
I'm sorry?
Under this.
No, personal service is $74,000. That's an increase of $2,500 over what was previously approved by council.
Oh, okay.
Department 7019 council, personal service, that was increased $6,200 over previous budget, and that was for the payout for the clerk for sick and vacation time, and there was an adjustment for workers' comp as well for the final figures. Finance personal service, the $252,000 for personal service, that's an increase of $20,000 over the prior budget amendment, and that was for the former employee payout and unemployment and workers' comp adjustment that was needed for year end.
The other number there represent?
I'm sorry?
The 446, what is that?
446 is the other expenditures. That is for primarily like the monies that we give to Chagrin Highlands, and for tax administration fees is the bulk of that. Then under section 2 on page 3, Fund 204, the Law Enforcement Trust Fund for state and local, that was increased $100 from the previous budget to adjust to actual. Fund 207, the Police Pension Fund, that was increased $9,200 to adjust it to the actual expenditures anticipated. Fund 301, Debt Service Fund, that was increased $20,000 over the previous budget, and that was for the adjustment for bond counsel for the borrowings that I don't believe were included in the original budget. And there was also a payment that was made in 2018, but it was in fact for 2017, so it wasn't in the original budget. Fund 401, that a lot of the capital accounts, we lowered them down to the actual expenditures that are anticipated for the year end, as opposed to the large budget amounts that were not going to be spent or are still encumbered at the end of the year that are being waived for next year. So 401 capital improvement, that was lowered by $5.2 million. That's to adjust to the actual expenditures that are being paid. The 406 infrastructure fund, that was reduced $449,000 to the actual expenditures. 403 rec capital, that was reduced $62,000 to the actual expenditures. And 402 capital equipment fund was reduced $258,000 to actual expenditures. So those are all of the adjustments needed to get the books ready for the end of the year.
Thank you. Any Questions? All right, if you would call roll, please.
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Barron?
Yes.
Braverman?
To audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village. Anyone? On to committee reports and comments by council members. Mrs. Perry? Barron?
I was at the Board of Education meeting on Monday. They went over the courses at the high school, and I have to tell you, I was impressed with the depth of the courses that they are offering our kids. Finite algebra, AP honors, and CP college prep, all, it seems to be at the highest level. So I was very heartened by that, and we may be moving in the right direction. Also, since this is the last meeting of 2018, forgot what year it was for a minute, I want to wish everyone a happy and healthy New Year, a joyous holiday season, and can't wait to hear what the mayor has for us for next year. Okay, I still can't wait.
Mr. Braverman?
I had someone call me about the streaming of our meetings, and I think the concern of the caller was they were the only person streaming the meeting. So I just want, are we keeping, I mean, I didn't know that this was the case, but apparently when you stream our meeting, your name appears on some record.
Anna's watched it, I never watched it.
So is the name of the people who are watching the meeting on
I never noticed it. It just
On the
tells you how
tape?
many, it just tells you how many people have viewed it that I've
Seen. Not really good at it.
perhaps I was a little biased. I was interesting, and I was going to say it'd be nice if we were on their name. I have no idea. I have no idea how they should. Of course, that the thing was, and I would really let me ask because I'd like to know how many people are actually streaming our meetings. If we have any way.
Typically, if you, I mean, it's YouTube, right? So there's, it shows like how many times every video's been watched. There's like little, no, YouTube does. There's like little ticker. Any other comments? Okay. Mr. Bilski?
I had a question for Mr. Zugan. You said that you were going to be meeting with the contractors after last week's meeting. I was just curious if you had any update on how long till Lander would be?
On Lander? Yeah, another progress meeting on Tuesday. They've been taking out driveway aprons this week. They're supposed to be closing down, our understanding, the 21st. So we'll be looking at getting that road back open, but more details on Tuesday.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Quanter?
I don't have any report. Planning Commission will be meeting next week, and I'll have a report following that. I would like to wish everybody a very happy and healthy New Year and a joyous holiday season. And enjoy your families, and thanks for playing.
Before I comment, this is a question I want to ask the Law Director. I went back to legislation 21845, talking about adjusting the municipal boundaries, and I went back to the charter. Please clarify for me that the state statute overrides our municipal interpretation of boundaries from our charter. Am I getting that right? Because it says that municipality of Orange Village shall have the same boundaries as now exist, but power to change the boundaries authorized by the general laws of the state of Ohio. Is that what we're doing? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Following the laws of
The state, okay. That's number one. And then going further down, the desire to zone the territory that's coming to the village is U4A, which is motorist district, yes? Does that exclude all the other properties that would be, contiguous between Orange and Beechwood that sort of follow through from that, or no? Are we only looking at U4A?
The ordinance would zone, if it were passed, the ordinance would zone the territory that is coming into the village.
U4A? Yes. Okay, so it doesn't, anything beyond that, it's not sort of impacting those properties. Am I getting that right?
What?
Well, don't you have, behind the U4A, don't you have other businesses that, could be on both sides, or no? It doesn't extend down?
That part's going to Beechwood.
Those are all going to Beechwood.
Okay, so it's just I just want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. It's just the U4A, the motorist district.
We would be, if the ordinance were passed, we would be zoning the territory that's coming into Orange Village as U4.
Okay. And then, no, I get that. That's the problem I get it.
Similarly, Beechwood will have to.
Or vice versa, but the only thing is, as I said last time, the thing that I find puzzling is that, Beechwood has passed it, has sort of put this into limbo for a while. And I don't know where we're going with this exactly, although you've explained it to me. Beechwood has suspended it indefinitely, and I don't quite know what that means. I've never met that before. And then could you re-clarify for me section 4 about the $10,000? Increased municipal income taxes paid by the use of the property by $10,000. Explain that to me properly, please.
If the property were ever to be redeveloped, and the redevelopment caused a change in the collection of income taxes that exceeded $10,000, we would exceeded $10,000.
Not 10,000 more.
10,000 more, an increase of $10,000 or more.
Mm-hmm.
Which as a 2% number would require $500,000 in revenues or payroll. If that were to happen, we would talk to Beechwood about revenue sharing.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was in Pinecrest today for lunch, and the place was lovely. The parking was terrible. No, you couldn't find a parking spot anyway. It was full. There was nowhere. I had to go to a restaurant here. I had to drive and walk, and God only knows where. No, the park. What's that?
Park behind the movie theater.
I did, but the walking was dangerous because going into the restaurant where I was going into, there was no actual sidewalk per se. So I was dodging the traffic that was coming. Yeah, no, the traffic is bad. The person I was with said she wouldn't go back because, not the traffic, because of the parking. And I felt that was a shame. I said I'd pass it along. Okay. It's narrow. It's very, very, I'm sure you've been there. It's very narrow. Food was great. Parking was.
Road?
There's parking on both sides. Yeah, there's no manipulation. It's difficult.
Which restaurant did you go to?
CityWorks. It was difficult getting in there. So food was okay. So
the best place to park for that, almost park behind Silver Spot.
I had to walk all the way down.
Escalator down.
Yeah, but
elevator down and come out the front door.
Just pass the word along. My friend said she wouldn't want to come. She liked the food, but she didn't want to deal with that. So, and then I have some positive kudos to the EMS and the police and fire. A few people in my area have had to use them. They were thrilled. They said it was efficient, wonderful. And so, again, you do a great job, and we thank you for it, taking care of everybody. And again, Happy New Year for 2019. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays for everybody else. Thank you.
Francis, about the parking, don't forget, it's less than 2 weeks before Christmas.
I think that was it. I didn't see too many people shopping. That more people go to the restaurants. That was my observation, but I may be. They weren't sort of No, I didn't get that. They were looking for, it was food shopping. No, I didn't get that exactly, but it was very, we'll see what it's like in January. I'll let you know.
By the way, Francis, last night I went to dinner at the La Paz, and when I walked in the restaurant, I went, and the next time somebody complains to me about the parking at Pinecrest, I'm going to tell them to go there. I mean, you literally had to back up to let somebody go. It was horrid.
It wasn't so cool today, but anyway, I thought I'd pass the message along. Thank you.
Me?
Yes, Mayor, comments?
Despite the well-meaning advice from people who think I can just blow it off, I need to go on the record and say that the statements made by the Moonies tonight describe a person and a set of events that I don't recognize. Quite the contrary. I am incredibly dismayed by their characterization of events. And, I couldn't argue more vociferously about their interpretation of how things have gone. Judd, the answer about the significant occupancy date is that they are about 4,000 square feet short of significant occupancy date. I'll get a better reading as to when they think that will be realized. Usually I'm very excited to do this, but I'm a little bit upset. 2018 was an incredibly exciting, busy, significant year in Orange Village. And in January or February, when the service department and the fire department come out with their very, very detailed report, you will get a lot more information than I will read tonight. I won't get into some of the details, but you're going to get a more expanded version, and you'll read in the newsletter where we summarized accomplishments. So I would say the first accomplishment in 2018 that was on the top of every department's list was the opening of Pinecrest. It represents many, many years of effort, study, preparation, training, planning ahead, and doing the work. So it's a huge, significant accomplishment that our forces and our departments rose to the occasion and did all that they needed to do for what I think was a very successful rollout. 2018, we had another successful movie at the amphitheater, A Wonderful Salute. The Halloween party was very well attended, 3 shredding events, and the first community-wide garage sale. Another year of maintaining a database for the Orange Cares program, but I must report that it was not utilized once this year. We created business packets this year to welcome the many businesses that will be joining the Orange Village community. And we added a part-time clerk, floater, who has been incredibly helpful, and I think that was a good addition to the administration. In addition to the Pinecrest, we also want to take as an accomplishment the opening of the new safety station, the staffing of it, and the equipping it and opening it. As you know, we have had several new hires in the fire department. We also promoted 2 captains and 2 lieutenants this year. The new fire engine that we ordered a very long time ago is truly in production this year. It's been visited by us, and we hope to take delivery in early 2019, so we can claim that as an accomplishment again next year. In the newsletter, you will see a more complete listing, but many grants were obtained this year, and in the newsletter, it totals, I think it was about $250,000. Also in the fire department, 2 service department guys went to fire school at no cost to the village, but that adds extra manpower and cross-training, which we think is a very successful model for the village. The police department hired 2 full-time officers. Sergeant Doublejack was assigned to a full-time detective role, and Joyce Sherwood was promoted to sergeant. We have 7 officers of our, we up to 16? Officers that are involved in 5 different units with the Valley Enforcement Group, including hostage negotiations, SWAT, CART team, and the unmanned UAV, the drones. Okay, the 3 pages from the service department, single-spaced. This is the abbreviated version, right? Again, as part of the grants, is a $25,000 tree grant for Orange, $25,000 for Chagrin Falls. Some additions to the park this year included the installation of speed bumps, new basketball poles, and some new garbage and recycle cans, and the opening of our pickleball court. We did the Orange Tree subdivision and the resurfacing of Orangedale. A huge project that I think the details of which and the effort involved might not be known to all, was the preparation and getting ready for the commencement of the recreational trail project. Bob and Brian met numerous times with all the residents along the way, and it's a tedious, very detailed project that is underway, and that's a big accomplishment.
Snow with them a little bit. What? I stomped around in the snow with them a little bit.
Yeah, well, you had one day of seeing what it was like, or however many. You probably went more than I did, but you saw the detail. We completed a cozy energy audit this year, and as a result of that, we'll be doing some LED lighting projects. We sold 4170 Lander Road. We completed a light pole replacement project on Orange Place North. The Waddell Room kitchen was renovated, new countertop, new dishwasher, and updated. We mentioned earlier about the Muni lightning strikes, but we had 2, one of which was very severe and required quite a bit of attention and effort to recover from. The service department and everybody else supporting them had to deal with 2 water main breaks on Miles Road this year. All village roads were striped. 64 catch basins were cleaned. 1,643 feet of culverts were ditched. Is that the right of ditching? 26 containers were used by our residents for the container rental program. We had in-house street repairs to Brainerd, Orange Meadow, Pike, Smithfield, Orange Hill Subdivision, Sterncrest, the parking lot here, and White Drive. Joint repair was done on Lander, Harvard, and the Orangewood Subdivision. Crack sealing program addressed Lander Road, Miles Road, Brainerd Road, Orange Meadow, Walnut Hills, Waterford Court. We can stop on Walnut Hills now. Waterford Court, Cambridge Court, Orangewood Drive, Beachmont Oval, Wild Cherry Oval, and Hemlock Court. Of those projects that we did in-house, Mr. Zugan successfully applied for and received a grant for material reimbursement of $127,440. We didn't use it all, but we were eligible for that. They also inspected 1,076 catch basins, picked up 2,200 yards of leaves, delivered 900 yards of leaf compost. In the building department, we went from 163 contractor registrations in 2016 to 566 in 2018. 328 permits in 2016. 769 in 2018. And in 2016, the building department performed 469 inspections, and last year that was up to 1,500. Every department has been working so incredibly hard with so many different things. In 2018, I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we have our first full-time treasurer. And in the 6 months that Dana has been with us, she has taken our earnings from an average earning of 0.20% to up to 2.5% to 3%, which will yield about $80,000 to $100,000 of additional revenue to the general fund. In her first year, Dana accomplished the audit for 2016 and 2017, which I'm sure you can appreciate is a little harder when you're not the one doing the work during those years. But it's almost finalized. You'll all be invited to a post-audit conference as soon as some details have been finished. In addition, I think Matt might have helped Dana with this, but by tracking down payment schedules on our, Dana was creating our debt schedules and getting familiarized with it, and in the process of doing that, we learned that some of the bonds that we pay that were issued by the county had been refinanced, but they didn't tell us. So we ended up with a $100,000 credit, so we won't have to make any payments for more than 1 year on that debt. And those are the highlights. It's certainly been a big year, maybe, yeah, I think I got everything. Did I do the fire? Yeah. So it's been a great year, a lot's accomplished, a lot of changes this year. It's a transitional year, and again, I want to thank this departments, all the directors, for everything they do. They do the hard work, and I get the credit.
Thanks, Mary. Just one or two things I want to add. We became very transparent this year with council, with having everything recorded and online for everybody to see, and I'm sure Ms. Kluter loves that. And we've become the most environmentally friendly and progressive municipality in the state of Ohio. Yeah, I think so. And I've heard nothing but good things about it, actually. At this point, I would actually make a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending or prospective litigation. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes. And I'm going to invite the department heads. I had a second by Mr. Bilski. Thank you. Anna, if you'd call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Kluter.
Yes.
Perry. Yes. Barron.
Yes.
Braverman.
On the agenda, I don't remember seeing it. We have an executive session then?